Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. Season 1 here is covering the Fast Saga, which, as we've talked about before, I have never seen, and am so far greatly enjoying it. Greatly enjoying being part of the family.
Specifically one so far has been a showstopper, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, I also like Tokyo Drift. I think that's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not nearly as good as Fast 5. That's one to beat.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are here in episode 6 talking about the Fast and Furious 6, Fast ampersand Furious 6, so the 6th Fast ampersand Furious movie.
Otherwise known as Furious 6, to follow on from Fast 5.
Furious 6. Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We're here, boy, after Fast 5, this is... I know it won't be as good.
You are correct.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it won't be bad.
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay. It's sort of, after the last movie, it's sort of like, all right, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm assuming part of it is going to be the race to find Letty.
Okay.
Since her picture showed up at the stinger at the end of Fast 5. But Fast 5 wrapped up in such a nice way where it's like, oh, we did the heist and everybody got so much money. We're all living our dream lives.
Mm-hmm.
See you later. Like, it's just, where do you go from there?
Okay, so I can answer this question.
Okay.
What does a family need? Not this family. Every family. What does a family need?
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that.
You have one?
We're talking about...
I have one.
Yeah.
Your in-laws have one. Your outlaws have one. Your cousins have one. Your neighbors have one.
Cats.
No.
That's what my family needs.
A home.
Aha. Okay. Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Home in Furious 6. This old home, Fast and Furious.
So there are things that happen in this movie, obviously, but let's face it, we finished Fast 5 and everyone was scattered. Everyone went their own individual ways.
Oh, that's true.
Everyone did everything they wanted to do. They've got the perfect life, or so you think.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope we'll see a scene with Paul Walker changing a poopy diaper at 3 a.m. That would be really great.
I don't think we do.
Ah, bummer.
Yeah.
I think that's a little too real world for Fast and Furious.
You think so, but maybe it's not.
Interesting.
But no, okay, so we had Fast 5 was the joining of the family, all from the disparate films.
The first Avengers film.
Yes. Who returns for Fast 6, or Furious 6, I should say?
Oh, yeah, that's always a good question. I'm assuming that the big two are going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Vin Diesel, Vincent, and Paul Walker, I'm assuming, are going to be coming back. Because this was... When did Paul Walker pass away?
Not yet. This was 2013, so not yet.
Okay, a couple years after that, right?
We'll deal with that one for the next movie.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert. Get ready to cry.
I'm... As much as that crew of people really loved each other in real life, I'm sure that that's going to be really rough dealing with it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that Mia will probably come back, maybe not in the largest of roles, but at least be in the film.
Okay, why would she not be in the largest of roles?
Probably because she's probably not going to do a lot of racing.
Okay. It could also be because she has a child to look after.
Yeah.
And come on, we both know between Mia and Buster, who's going to be the one looking after the kid.
not big old dummy Buster.
Yes.
Which end does the bottle go in? Like, that's Buster.
How do I put my nose in the milk?
Yeah, exactly. It'll make the kid go faster.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have? I hope we see Ludacris come back.
Okay. You want Tej back?
I want Tej back in pretty much all of this because I think he's great.
Okay.
I do also want Roman back because I think both of them
You can't have one
are
without
good.
the other at this point, I think.
Yeah, it's like a package deal after Fast 5. Both of them are great, and they're even better together. I'd like to see Gal Gadot come back because I think she ends up being better and better movie over movie. Like between 4 and 5, she got way better. And it's like, well, now I want to see a couple years later.
She's back, and she's better again.
Great. Yeah. Dope. Love it. I think the big question mark for me is Han, because it's sort of like, is this where in the timeline?
Okay.
does this one sit? Is this pre or post passing away?
I'll spoil it right now. Han is in this movie.
Great. Yes.
Yep. And let me tell you, Han and Roman get a really good buddy cop thing going on in this movie too, just like him and Tej did. So that's great.
There we go. I like it. Who else do we have left?
We're talking specifically about a photograph here, by the way.
Right. So Letty, I'm hoping. I feel like you can't tease that 2 movies in a row. I feel like she's probably back in this one in some fashion. I hope she's a major player.
Okay.
But I guess that will be sort of the point of Fast 6.
Here's my question then. What about Elena?
I feel like there's only 2 ways it can go. Either Elena shows up like sort of throughout the movie, it's sort of interspersed every once in a while, or they don't mention her at all.
I feel like the black bag at the end of the last movie.
Yeah, like I feel like she got introduced in Fast 5, and I liked her a lot in Fast 5. I thought she did really well. I thought she was a cool character, and I feel like when they introduce a character sort of later in a series that a lot of people seem to love, those are the only 2 ways where it's like, Elena, no, that doesn't ring a bell. Or, Dom has a little picture on his desk where it's like, lost love.
Yes, but that picture is Letty.
Something like
come
that.
on.
Right, exactly. Or like Letty comes back and she just like pushes Elena off frame where it's like, see you later.
Do you have any dream casting you would like to see for other people? Because, spoiler alert, The Rock is back for this one too.
Yeah. Wall of meat coming back.
Yes, the meat wall returns.
Is this the first appearance of Shaw?
No.
Bummer. A little bit?
Minor spoilers here.
Sure.
This is the first appearance of a Shaw.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Specifically, Shaw in this movie is played by a little lone guy called Luke Evans.
Oh, jeez.
Luke Evans, who was Dracula in the Dracula Untold movie, the reboot of the Dark Cinematic Universe.
Right.
And he was also the Ranger in the Hobbit movies.
Right.
Luke Evans is a fantastic actor. And, spoiler alert, he's the villain.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
So, get ready for a real good introduction to his character.
Mm-hmm. The family versus family stuff here?
Not yet.
Okay.
Soon.
That's Fast 7.
But not yet. In all honesty, this is probably my second favorite character introduction in any of these movies.
Okay.
Third favorite character introduction. Number 7 has my first.
Okay.
Which I'm not going to spoil. / I've already spoiled it by accident.
Right.
Number 5 has my second, which is The Rock. Because his character introduction in that is a killer scene. And number 3 is Luke Evans in this movie.
Okay.
And chef's kisses.
I feel like this one's really tough because...
How do you follow 5?
Well, not only that, but like the first 4 movies were largely standalone.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5, even not knowing that there were movies after that, is very clearly setting up some stuff where they're changing the formula a little bit. It's not always imports versus muscle. It's not always Nas and Underglow, and it's not these back alley racing scenes and stuff. Like they're moving away, like we've talked about, they're moving away from Point Break to heist movies, and it's kind of fun because I don't really know what they're gonna set up here with the next movie. They've left some breadcrumb trails, but there's nothing that's pointing at, here's the big thing.
Yeah, 5 was the start of the production company's desire to take the franchise away from street racing.
Yep.
And take it into more of an action movie with cars.
Moving into the 2010s.
Yes, moving into the 2010s slowly but surely.
Out of the 90s.
So this is another step in that direction. So let's move away from street racing.
Okay.
And let's see what we can do with this family that we've gathered.
Right, this Ocean's 11 with cars.
Yes. I'm trying to think of an appropriate analogy to other movies for this, but it's really difficult to without giving the game away. So I'm going to try not to.
Well, I think that wraps up all my thoughts for Fast and Furious 6 here. Let's go watch the movie.
Sounds like fun.
We have finished watching the Fast ampersand Furious 6, now featuring
No.
200% more guns.
It's not ampersand, this is and.
That's right.
Ampersand was 4. This is and.
Depending on this movie has like 4 titles, so like
I think we watched the same version of it, so we both got the Furious 6 title card.
Yeah, the Furious 6 title card. Yeah. My first note here is Furious 6 now 200% more guns.
Yeah.
Everyone has like 6 guns in this movie. Which sure, there has to be some escalation, I guess.
The one bright side is the people who seem to be good with guns are the people who would be good with guns. Dominic's main gun is a shotgun, which is pretty hard to be bad with a shotgun.
Sure.
I almost swore
it fits his
then.
character.
I'm glad I retained my control there. Paul Walker has cop training and FBI training, so he's going to be good with a gun. There is a moment that we'll talk about later that he's the only one who even gets close to being accurate, and that's a good thing. And Giselle was like special forces.
Mossad.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I've just got a list of notes here that I feel like is probably largely in chronological order.
Okay. If we skip any that I've got on my list over here, I'll interrupt and we can bounce to mine instead.
Please do, yes. My first note was I wasn't expecting the weird opening credits with clips from the other movies.
I forgot about that, and you know what? I love it. I love the song. I love the shots.
The song is pretty good. It's sort of weird, though, because I would have expected that for the last movie, where it's like, all right, the first 4 are done. Here are the good parts. Let's get that behind us. But sort of a weird thing, but that's okay. I love the opening of this movie because from 4 to 5, you get that continuation. And then 5 ends with, we got a race for real. And 6 starts up with the 2 of them racing. And I was like, ooh, this is the race for real. Oh no, they tricked me. The baby's coming.
Yes.
And that's so good. I can't believe how they did that, because there's no dialogue between the 2 of them at the beginning, and it's like they are really taking this
serious
seriously.
Faces. It's racing across the mountains. It's like, ooh, Paul's in the lead now. Vin's in the lead now. Paul's in the lead now. Vin's in the lead. It's a really, really, really good transition from movie to movie. It's like,
and they pull up, and the nurses come out, and it's like, oh, okay, this is really good.
Yep, and Elena, is it Elena? I can't remember her name.
Helena.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elena. Whatever. Elena of Brazil.
Yes. Yes. Her full title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's I love that introduction so much, and that's when it cuts away to the song, doesn't it? Like that's when it shifts to.
Yeah, I think it's been like, Brian, you're gonna be a real good dad. Credits, that sort of thing. Then I'm not sure what happens between the credits and my next note, but my next note is just Gina Serrano.
Yep. It's Carano, but yes.
It's Carano. I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
I will mess that up probably 2 or 3 more times.
That's fine. This is a great
Gina C.
tease for later, because this is The Rock and Gina showing up at a crime scene where literally a satellite has been robbed from a military caravan, or a part from a satellite. And there's a car in the side of the building next to the Kremlin.
I like that someone asks The Rock, like, how did that get up there? And The Rock's face is just like, man, I know how, I could see how that happened. I don't have the time to deal with it right now. I have some British guy to take care of. Don't worry about it.
Yes, who we don't think it's a British guy right now, because they're doing a really good job of pretending that this is Diesel's crew, because they caught one who from the rear happens to look exactly like Vin Diesel.
That's such a good reveal, because it's like, oh, maybe Vin Diesel didn't do it. And then it turns and that dude is sitting there. And it's like, hey, man, what's up? And it's like, that's a pretty good shot.
Yep. And you get the old, I ain't telling you swear word.
Yep. I'm going to punch you through a ceiling.
Yeah. So we mentioned that, like, in, I think it was 4, like, Diesel took a bullet and didn't even flinch. And then there was a little bit of the superhero things with him literally tossing Paul Walker through a shelving unit. Then you get, obviously, the Rock and Vin Diesel superhero fight in 5.
Yeah.
And then in this, you just get The Rock being literally a comic book star.
Because he's just like launching someone into the moon. Like, tell me your secret.
He's doing the one-handed Hulk thing where he literally picks the guy up and then just tosses him into the ceiling.
And I like that Gina C is just like, are you going to go in there and tell him no? And it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
is that legal? No.
Yeah. I like that. I like that as part of this movie being a little bit funnier than the last one, that there's lines like that where it's sort of like, we can explain this stuff away with a joke, and that's good enough.
Yes. Hey, I had a life before you knew me.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting. Number one, getting a little tired of everyone saying, there's no extradition here. It's like, yes, I know. I have watched the other ones. I know how it goes.
This is when The Rock, like, they find out where Shaw is, who is the culprit of the heists. He's in London. It's like, okay, let's go get him. Woman, you don't just go after Shaw solo. You're like a Christmas present. You need a team. He's a wolf. To catch wolf, you need wolves. It's like, that's right. Okay, sure.
Thanks, Rock.
Why not? Yeah. And that's when he shows up with, clearly even more time has passed. So, from the end of 5 to the start of 6, literally the opening of 6, you've got 9 months. And I'm guessing there's another time skip there, because no way is that baby fresh out the hospital when...
No, it's been a couple of months, yeah. I do like that the answer of what Dom would do in this beautiful villa where he's free with his time is like rebuild an engine on his patio. It's like, okay. I do like that the note I have here is, I need your help, Dom. I need your team. It's like, all right, that's a good line. You're pulling me back in, the Rock.
The last thing I want to do is be standing here selling you Girl Scout cookies is one of my favorites.
That's right. I still kind of, I don't like these people in real life, but I do like how cocky The Rock is, where he's like, no, he's going to come with me. And by the time I leave here, he's going to beg me to come along on this. And he just says, this was taken a week ago, and it's Letty. And it's like, oof. Oh, they got him.
This was taken a week ago. I'll see you out front.
Yeah, just like it. Yeah. That whole thing, I feel like it's one of the more plausible ways for
to loop the
Rock
back in?
to like rope the team back in, is like, hey man, Letty was seen a week ago. Do you want to go get her? Or at least find out what happened? You gotta come with me.
Yeah, and then Vin Diesel's like, yeah, sure, I'll come and do it, but that's all you get. Me. And he's like, dude, you ain't got a hope in hell. No offense, Vin Diesel.
Right.
But if I can't do it solo...
just you?
You can't do
Right.
it solo. So let's just
Yeah.
we need the team, and that's when like he goes and obviously he meets up with Buster and sister and freshly out the hospital, probably at least a couple of months old at this point, baby. I love the toy car scene with the
I wrote
kids.
this down. Yep, the fight over the toy cars for Baby Jack is really great. It's like, a muscle car? What's up with this? It's really good, and it feels like, I feel like because there's so much chemistry with so many people on screen now that a lot of the earlier movies just didn't have. They had a lot of charm and a lot of gumption, but they didn't have the chemistry and the acting chops that the movies have now. I feel like that chemistry really comes across in scenes like this, where it's just like they're giving each other crap about this kid and toy cars, and it feels pretty great. And it's like, yeah, the whole family's here.
It fits as well because at this point you know the backstory. Like, fun fact as well, their opinions on cars of the characters are reflected by the actors. Like, Paul Walker genuinely loves imports, and Vin Diesel genuinely loves American muscle. Like,
right.
So it's a real easy thing for them to play off because apparently they just ribbed each other all of the time with that when they weren't actually filming. So it's a nice little reference in there for them that just so happens to be a reflection of real life.
Then, so they turn loose not Vin Diesel to go see Shaw.
Hold on. We can't skip the team montage.
Okay.
Where it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to get the team back, and it shows everybody in the process of doing stuff, and they all get a phone call.
I like that Ludacris has his shirt off, very much like, look, I worked out for this one. I need a shot with me with my shirt off.
I may be a tech hacker guy, but I got a bod too, bro.
That's right.
You know, Roman isn't the only handsome one. Thank you very much.
That's right.
I do love it shows how they've changed, but not a lot. Like, he's like, yeah, you're right. I realize money doesn't grow on trees. It rains from the skies. Like, that's a great character moment
scene
for him. You've got the great bonding between Hannon and Giselle, who are in China at this point, I believe. Slowly but surely making their way further to the east. And you've got Roman in his jet that says, it's Roman B-word on the side of the plane.
There was a shot later where Brian is landing in a plane in LA. I really wish he had taken that plane where it's like, I've got to find a way to... What?
I might have to have a rewatch this. It may actually, it's the same. I think it's the same model of plane. So I have to check and see if it is actually the same plane.
That was my wish, was like, because I looked pretty closely and it didn't seem like it. It was my wish that they were just going to say like, I've got a way back to the U.S. Brr, here's Roman's plane. Just being like, whatever, man.
Yeah, but it shows his cheapness as well because he's with all these models and he's like, yeah, we're going to Macau. We're going to have fun. Never mind.
That's right.
Turn the plane around. Do you remember that casino we were talking about? Here's some coupons.
Yeah, here's some vouchers
buffet.
For the buffet. Yeah. Who else is part of the crew? I think that's everyone in the crew, right?
I think it's everyone who matters at this point.
I think that was the last shot because the two Spanish guys aren't back this time.
Yes, they are back. Unfortunately, they do get a shout out, but they don't actually show up in this movie.
Yeah. So my next note here is during the Shaw escape sequence.
So let's just rewind a sec. So yeah, you said they're sending that guy in to
not Vin Diesel.
Yeah, they're sending in not Vin Diesel to drop the dime on Shaw, and then we're getting a vocal confirmation. The team and Hobbs are not invited, so they are just watching from afar right now, ready to act.
Right.
So go.
So my note is that Shaw has a split-second supercar. It's like that's the only thing that I could liken it to, and he's drifting that thing like he's in Sleeping Dogs.
Yes.
It's just like every once in a while he does that like bump maneuver from Sleeping Dogs where it's like whoop, we're just over here, whoop, we're over here. Those like F1 metal cow catcher launching cars that they have are like the dumbest idea that I am 100% behind.
Yeah, and my personal favorite thing in this whole sequence is you get introduced to Shaw. You find out he is all about precision. You want two precision drivers? Let me introduce you to Shaw and his blonde bombshell.
That's right.
He is all like, he doesn't care about anything. You get the job done. Literally, the instant metaphor that pays off within about 30 seconds is, look, here is a bad part. You swap it out and everything works fine again. By the way, here's your money for the job we just did, and the one we're doing now. Spoiler, you're the bad part.
Right. There's a bomb in it. Whoops.
Yeah, and like you understand straight away he's all about precision. He's planning like 5 steps in advance, especially when the whole Interpol thing comes up. And yeah, he gets in that thing and it is a beast of a machine that they really made, because that thing is so cool.
Oh, they really made it? God, that's cool.
Dude, that wasn't a CG car flipping those things. That was a legit car flipping.
Oh yeah, and the next note that I wrote is contrary to 4, this one had a great tunnel racing scene. The London tunnel stuff is actually really good for as much stuff as is happening in this racing scene. All of it makes sense, and all of it is, even when he's flipping cars with this like metal monstrosity F1 thing, it's still, you could still tell what's happening.
Yeah, and here is a fun fact for you. To get from London, where the next shot is, where Interpol is, to where that tunnel is, you have to travel the entire length of England, because that tunnel is the Mersey Tunnel in Liverpool, England.
Hey, there we go.
And a lot of the early street chase into the tunnel is 100% my hometown, because they shut that thing down, and the movie is responsible for that tunnel being bright white, because it was a grimy grey. And then they were like, we're going to film in here, we need better lighting. So we're just going to paint the whole thing and clean it all off and get it all spick and span, so they got good lighting in there. That's cool. Like that big dip that you see them coming down, that's literally to go under the river that's right next to my city. Like,
oh man, that's so cool.
It's a really nice sequence like that. It's got the split, it's got everything. That's a real tunnel, really underwater in Liverpool. Like,
oh man,
it was so cool to see that for the first time, because I was in England when this thing was filming, and it's like, wait, they shut down half of the city centre for like 2 weeks over the course of like nights. For what?
For a movie?
They're filming something? Wait, Vin Diesel's in town? This is the Fast movie. I'm like, all about this.
Yeah, it's like, what are they filming in my town? Oh, hello.
Fun fact, the dock sequence in Captain America the First Avenger, where he chases the guy after he becomes super for the first time, also Liverpool.
Hey, nice. Look at all these great movies being shot in hometown.
Yep.
Oh, man.
But yes, the tunnel sequence is amazing. It's well shot. I love...
Yep.
We did miss the Interpol sequence with the whole 50 caliber sniper rifle shooting a bunch of cars, whatever. That's not that important.
That's true.
But that is the sequence where they start firing at each other, and literally the only person who gets close is Brian. Brian stops him from shooting because he pops 2 up and literally hits the edge of the roof right next to him. Everybody else is just like, plat, 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 plat.
Right.
But
just stormtroopering it up.
Well, Giselle almost dies there. Han saves her.
That's right.
You get the chip gun. We can't forget the chip gun.
Chip gun. I do really like how O'Connor gets rid of the chip gun in his car. Like, he realizes what happens, and he just like within an inch of the barrier, just ting, like knocks that thing right off. That was a really cool shot.
But yeah, that's when you get the tunnel sequence. Shaw goes elsewhere, and my favorite moment in this is Brian getting his stuff wrecked.
Yep.
Because it's like, okay, yeah, lady in the other flip car, I need help. It's like, okay, so she skyrockets off. You don't know what she's doing. She's just going further away. And then it's just like Brian doing boop, 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 boop into this Range Rover, and then the Range Rover swerves, and it's just flip car in the face.
That is another really cool shot. There's a lot of cool shots in that whole sequence, even though there's sort of a lot going on. Yeah, God, and this is the next part is Letty and Dom meeting up again for the first time, right?
Yes, because when Shaw's about to be caught, like, because both The Rock and Vin Diesel are on his case, and Letty shows up to be the distraction and get one of them off.
Yeah.
Phrasing. So yeah, she takes Dom, and the Rock keeps chasing, and you get the whole split level jump onto the top of the flip car thing from the Rock. Sure, why not?
That's one of those scenes. There's a couple of scenes in this movie where I was like, what is he doing? Oh my god. Like, there's a couple where it's like, ooh, okay, that really happened. Oh boy.
And it's shot super well because it looks real.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, yes. That's when Letty is there, and that's when she pops Dom.
I just like that she gets out and he's like, Letty. And she's like, blam, and gets in her car and leaves. It's just like, oh, okay. So definitely not the same Letty that we're used to dealing with here.
Yup.
Oh, man. And I think the next scene is where as Roman calls them, the evil family is meeting up for the first time.
Why he does the look at they're just us but in verse kind of thing.
Yeah, so good. So I think this is the first time that whole crew is meeting, and why didn't I realize it was gonna be amnesia? Of course it was amnesia for Letty. She doesn't remember anything.
As many JRPGs as you not immediately think this is the number one cause.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
And it's probably... honestly, it's probably the only way they could have gotten out of that thing is just like, she survived, she doesn't remember anything, she's miraculously still alive, let's not question it.
Yeah. I do love the fact that this is where the crew shows their skill, though, because we've already had the Rock shoots open the vending machine because Roman is a cheap SOB.
It's really good.
But this is the bit where like they all get together and they're just like, okay, this is much more serious than we assumed. Let's figure out what's going on because he's just ripped out, like he's just broke into Interpol and taken something and we don't know what.
We don't know what, and like we don't know what he's going for next.
Yeah.
And they have this whole war room now, like they've got a whole complex and it's a much more serious affair.
Yeah, and you get the whole like them breaking down how to build that car is one of those great moments where like the Rock and Gina are sitting there just looking at the crew, and as the crew go, no, but did you hear the engine? Like that's a turbo diesel. You hear that at Le Mans. You know, that suspension, it got to be magnetic or maybe hydraulic. Like they're just running through everything. And like Gina and the Rock just look at each other and go, I made the right call. See, look.
That's right. That's right. That we got the right crew here.
Yeah. Like them pulling that stuff up is a great like crew development moment, but you are right. I think that scene is stolen by the evil family. It's like, Brian, when did you do this photo shoot?
Yeah. It's so good. And I this movie overall, just take a short detour here. This movie overall is a much different movie than all the other ones, including 5, where it's moving even faster into a popcorn film. Like we have our big set pieces, we have the comedic relief. You know, Roman is clearly the comedic relief here, and a little bit of ludicrous too. But like they're more and more people are clearly settling into their popcorn movie, Hollywood movie sort of roles, and I think for as much as I bristle a little bit about that, I think the comedy in this largely works for me.
I think it also helps that the comedy always comes from the same sources. Like it's Roman and Tej, like just ripping each other to shreds because they're the ones who kind of have a sense of humor. You get some comedy with Han, but the comedy with Han is not him making jokes. That's him like digging people for trying to make jokes at his expense.
Yeah, he's got like that dry wit,
quick response, and it's just like the scene coming up where we get the whole like black market car builder thing, and it's like Roman, Han, Giselle, and Gina go there, and like Gina and great sequence for Gina Carano here, by the way, when her and Giselle are talking to the guy, and the guy's being a creepy creep. And she's like, oh, what can you give me that other women can't offer? And she's like, okay, wrist lock, armbar, down on the knees, headbutt, here we go,
right,
foot in the face kind of thing. And the whole time, Roman is making jokes, and it's kind of cool. And Han's just like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm just a cool, calm, collected
I'm just
customer.
gonna sit here snacking.
And like that's when you get the whole, oh, you like her, we're gonna get a marriage kind of thing, you know, you better give her a big rock, you know, women like that, unless you're big elsewhere.
Right.
And he's like, you know what I mean? And then Han's like, oh, is that why all your girls wear so much bling? It's like, it's just so good. Like, the delivery
It's
is
this
just
little one
perfect.
where it's like, thank you, Han. Like, I like that Roman is the comedic relief, but everyone uses him as a punching bag. Like, even The Rock is sort of ribbing him, and Roman's like, oh.
Do I smell baby oil?
He can't take it.
You better keep your mouth shut before I smack that big-ass forehead of yours.
Yeah, I love everyone making fun of his forehead in this one. It's so good. Yeah, that scene was largely good. I sort of got lost a little bit in the end for like, we're here at this auto shop and then suddenly Genesee and Letty are trying to murder each other in like the underground back part of the underground tunnels, and it's like, all right, you had to get from point A to point B. That's fine.
Yeah, we get
that's a brutal fight between the two of them.
So good. It's
really
legit,
good.
like, because Gina Carano, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure you're aware of this, Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey. She was a huge name in women's UFC. She's a big mixed martial artist. She's a legitimate tough person. And her having the cop training and her style of fighting in this is the cop style, which is legitimate training and being a badass. Whereas Michelle Rodriguez's fight style is, I was on the streets, I'm going to take these new rocks and I'm going to stomp them on your face until you go down.
That's right.
So, like, she's doing the brawls and the biting and stuff like that, and like
sucker punches,
getting the handcuff and then just wrapping the loose one around her hand to be like a knuckle
such a
duster.
good scene where it's like, that's a really good shot where it's like, yeah, man, I'm going to use this against you. Like, I'm going to use whatever tools I have at my disposal.
And then you get the stair fall.
Oh, just a rough shot. Oh, man.
I mean, it looks amazing. It looks amazing because it looks like someone died.
Yeah, like, it just looks like someone is coming out of there with, like, 2 broken legs and a broken arm and just being like, help, please.
Oh, it's so good. That fight sequence is incredible. And
on the other side of the coin...
Yes. We've got...
Roman and Han fighting a dude whose name I will never remember. Because, like, it's really... like Shaw and all of his faceless people.
The character who we're talking about now, I think he's Indonesian, so I think his name is an Indonesian name, and for the life of me, I can't remember it. I wish I could.
They say it like once.
Yeah, it's like once or twice. But yeah, him showing his legit martial arts fighting against the 2 Flappy Birds that are Han and Roman is great.
He works them so easily, and like, they just keep coming at him, and he's just like, no. He
takes out 3 cops before they even arrive.
Right, and like, he's just like, it's like the end of the first Matrix movie where it's like, I'm not even breathing hard. Like, you two are jokes. Like, what are you guys doing?
Roman decks Han because he's got Han in like a sleeper hold, and then he just moves Han into Roman's punch, and it's just like, come on, guys.
I love Han's huge eyes where it's like, please don't do this. You know how it's going to go. Nope, he punched me.
You go. No, you go. No, you go. Like, right. And the fact that the fight ends with a drop kick to Roman followed by an elbow drop in the same motion to Han, who's on the floor. Like, it's a really nice little fight sequence. Completely unnecessary because that fight sequence does not compare to the ladies' fight sequence. It's good, but theirs is better. But it's a nice little sequence. It establishes, these people are badasses.
Like, for real.
Yeah, and then also you've got, like, Han and Roman be like, nobody ever needs to hear about this. Ever.
That's really good.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was going to keep moving on, so you can go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we might have accidentally got past the auction sequence at this point, I believe.
Yeah, I forgot where that happened, but I think it's around here where, like, the whole team fans out to go do their respective thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ludacris gets upset at an auction.
And so they show up. I love this snooty British fella because he should get more. He gets some comeuppance, but he should get more. But he's just like, yo, kitchen entrance is at the back, by the way. And then he just breaks them down in this, like, really annoying way. It's like, you You know, shoes, pants, shirt, functional. And
I was trying to remember the word that he used, and functional is like such the perfect word for that. Where it's just like, you're not wrong, but my feelings are hurt.
It's like your stance, too rigid, too military, probably American. Take home of 50,000. That's US. Definitely not enough to play here. It's just like,
he's so good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Tej's response is, let's just buy all of the cars.
Yeah, and like just that turn where the guy is like, thank you for being a valued partner, and then they just take everything from him.
And then we get them pants.
Yeah. I love the Rock's like one joke where he's like, I don't think my shirt is gonna fit you. And the Rock's just like, it'll fit. Just like like you have offended both of these dudes and they're gonna take it out.
I mean, come on. At least he didn't get beat down by the Rock. We saw what he did to not Vin Diesel at the start of the movie.
He would vaporize this dude. He would just the dude would disappear.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, yes.
The next note I have is the Creepy McCreeperson gives up the name of the guy he's working for, which is drumroll Braga. Braga is back, and like as soon as I've been watching a lot of Arrowverse shows, so as soon as he said that, I was like, the Russian mob, and I was like, no, that's a different one. This is the bad guy from the other Fast and Furious movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a question: at this point, did you think they would actually bring that actor back when he said that name?
0%. No, I was sure they would be like, oh, here's a bunch of flashback, and here's Braga, and their response is, all right, well, I'm going to go back to L.A. and sneak into a prison to go see Braga. I'll figure it out, and I'll manage to find my way back.
Stasiak is back.
As soon as Stasiak was on screen, I was like, okay, man, like we are pulling all of the people that have been in this previous one. And then, of course, he gets his nose broken again, which is so good.
Yeah.
That it's one of those things where it's like, all right, man, like I'm not sure I would have appreciated it as much until he said, like, again, like with his hand on his nose.
My favorite is when he's about to do that. He says, like, Brian says to him, I'm really sorry about this, dude. And the guy says, I'm sorry about, and as he says, what? Like, he drags him and smashes his face into the wall again. And he's like, what? And he gets cut off by the thud. It's just like, so good.
But yeah, he sneaks into prison. Braga himself comes and visits in what I thought was actually a pretty good scene of Braga being like, my boss, Shaw, has had this planned before you even knew what you were doing. So here's the 15 different ways that you walked right in this trap, dude.
Yeah. And I love the fact that this is a Brian fight scene and he fights like Brian would fight. He's very much a redirecting, like the cop training coming back where it's like he's against two people with knives and a third person without one. So it's very much an unarming, a disarming, avoiding getting hit, that kind of thing. And he does the whole towel wrap it thing as well, which I like.
Yep. Yeah, and I like that Brian's like, man, if you weren't on the other side of this door, and he's just like, okay, it opens. It's just like, oh no. I do really like that as part of this scene, they really clearly set up that Shaw is a villain.
Yeah.
And it's very different from most of the other Fast and the Furious villains where it's like, here's a mob boss or a crime dude, this guy's running cocaine, and this guy's got some other stuff he's got going on. It's like, no, this guy is calculating, like, he knew that Letty was going to go undercover and that O'Connor was going to send her in before he knew that he was going to send Letty in. And then, like, they show the sort of retconning they do with Letty dying where, they never showed her getting shot for obvious reasons in the previous ones, but it's like the Braga underling blew up her car instead and she flew away and, Shaw found her in the hospital with amnesia and like fell in love with her when he went to go kill her.
Yeah, there's weird vibes between those two in this entire movie.
Yeah, he's he's pretty creepy towards her the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
I like a lot of his stuff where he's like, I would feel poorly if anything would happen to you. And I was like, okay, that's that's in character and pretty good.
But like you said, this whole movie sets him up as not just your run-of-the-mill villain either, because this dude is trying to build a nightshade device.
Right.
Which, number one, great name.
Yes.
And
go ahead.
Like, he's pulling these jobs and whatever, but like, he is operating at such a higher level than drug dealer or basically running a city.
Car thief.
This is a dude who is like, you're talking global level catastrophe if this guy gets what he wants.
Yeah.
Like,
and it really sets him up as a genuine foil to not just Vin Diesel and Paul Walker. It's setting him up as a foil to the entire skills, like the combined skills of the team, the family. And I feel like that so much of the other movies has been, no, O'Connor and I will take care of this. And like they both go off and they save the day and the team is whatever. But I like that this dude is so good and he's so good at orchestrating this whole thing that the whole team can't even begin to foil any of his plans, even in the end.
Yes. It's so good. But yeah, prison fight, and we get the Letty Dom race scene. My quote I've written down here is, "This is London, baby."
That's so... I do have to say the fight scene, it sort of is. The car racing fight scene was pretty good. But my note here is that, of course, they have a heart-to-heart after the race is done, and he's super flirting with her. This is legitimately the first time that this, and I know it won't be the last time, that this series made me cry. And it was as soon as he gave Letty the cross, and he's like, "This is yours," and I'm like, "It is hers." I was like, no, you got me. The family got me.
Yeah. Because like it's the tale of him trying to win back what essentially is the love of his life. I give you,
and like how they met.
Yeah, I give you Fast Five. Where's Letty, Dom? Where's Letty?
Right, but I like that. I like that they address how they met, where it's sort of like, yeah, some idiot kid plowed on the side of you and like almost killed you, and he's like, yeah, I was that idiot kid, and it's like, of course you were. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, like it's a very Dom move when he's like 14, 15, or however old he is at that point to be that moron. And yeah, by the way, fun fact, as someone who has lived in England for a long time, that circle where they do the whole car meetup just before the street race, that's like literally over the road from Buckingham Palace. You ain't starting a car race meetup in that circle. Just for the record, real game-changing breaking of the fourth wall moment.
Yeah. We started a race at Scotland Yard. It's like, you did not. There's no way.
But yeah, at the end of this whole sequence, and that bonding moment is the really good face-to-face. And my note here is precision versus family.
Yes.
And it's the ethos of the entire movie put down in one little speech.
Yep. And it's only a couple minutes long.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
but that...
You're predictable. At least you have a code.
That's right. And that red dot showing up on Dom's chest is sort of like, oh, all right, he's coming here to play. And then the red dot showing up on Shaw's chest is like, hell yeah, family. Let's do this.
Yeah, and it's like, let me guess. Hobbs and Vin Diesel's like, yeah, 2-bit government hack.
That's right.
Because I love that. Oh man, you can tell he's smart because number one, he does this whole breakdown of how does a guy go from ripping off DVD players in LA to stealing $111 million written down in Brazil.
Great question.
Yes, but I love the fact that like the very after the first chase sequence, like the flip car chase, they all have like the group meet up, and that's when obviously they learn that Letty is connected to Dom in some way. But they're like, what they do a bunch of research on him, and one of the guys is like, it's just a bunch of petty thieves and car racers. And like Shaw's line is, these petty thieves and car racers were a few seconds away from ending us tonight. So you show them the respect they deserve, or it's going to destroy us. And
I liked that a lot.
It's a good thing because it hypes him up as the villain, and it also hypes them up as the heroes. It's like a really good thing, and he does the same thing here. It's like, these are the choices I will do. I can reach out and destroy you is one of my favorite lines that Shaw says here, because you don't. I didn't make the connection. I doubt that you did. Of what exactly is he going to do?
No, I had no idea at that point.
And he's a nasty SOB.
Yeah. Well, and Luke Evans is just killing it in this role, where he has that control, but you can tell he has a goal, and he's going to do it, like we've seen at the the intro scene with him. No matter who gets in his way, even if it's Letty, he's going to get this job done because he's going to do something.
Mm-hmm. Because so far in the movie, they haven't succeeded in stopping him. Not even once. Not even
and a lot of
denting.
times, not even close.
Yeah. It's really, really good build-up of the villain in this.
Yep. The next scene I have here is the base where they're going to go stop him from stealing the thing.
So that's when the results of the Interpol come in. They find his base. They go check out Shaw's base. Can't figure out what's going on. He's got military paint, which contains it's specifically tied to the military base that holds the final component of the Nightshade device.
Right, that's right.
And that's when they figure out where he's going to go in that timeline, and there's only one option. So they all head to the base. Well, Hobbs,
base in Spain, I think?
Yes, Hobbs and Genesee head over to the base in Spain, while the other guys load up the cars and stuff like that. And that's also when Brian finally returns from his American adventure.
Yes, that's right. Where he comes back and he's like, hey, it was fine. I found out what happened. And I like that as Brian is about to like pour his heart out to Dom and say, like, look, it was my fault. Dom is like, whatever you learned over there is for you. Let's go get Letty.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, we do now, we do for her. It's a good line.
Like, that's super cool, because most movies would be like, we'll share a beer and I'll pour my heart out to you. And Dom's like, I don't really care. I don't care what happened. Mm-hmm. Like, that stuff is done. Let's go get Letty.
Yeah. That leads us to the base. Let's lock down the base, pretend it's still here, but we're going to send the part out on a convoy.
Like, hey, we caught this spy, and it's like the creepiest dude in this movie, and they're like, I was like, of course it's him. Look at him. Of course it's this dude.
He looks like Gollum. Like, he's got like Gollum
he
face.
100% does. And they're like, he's the villain. It's like, yeah, of course he is. It's his first day, and he looks like that. Yeah. Of course, O'Connor's like, it's not in the base. It's coming from it's in the convoy.
Yeah, because they send it out, and like O'Connor's like, look, he is ahead of us at every step. He is not going to attack the base now that they know about it. And that's when they're all like, he's going to steal it from the convoy.
Yep. Okay,
we need to get over there now. We need to let Hobbs know. We need to go and stop whatever's going to happen to that convoy.
Yep. This is my... and I don't think it's intended to be my favorite shot in the movie. I think that's later. This is my favorite shot in the movie where they stop the big convoy truck with one of those giant tension cables. Mm-hmm. And there's like a half-second shot where it stops, and I'm like, hell yeah, they did it.
Well, and the thing is, the bad guys put the tension cable up.
Yeah.
And then the big truck hits that tension cable.
And like, there's a half a second where it's like, yeah, they did it. And a tank comes out of it in like the coolest shot where I'm like, what is happening to the truck? And you just see the barrel of this tank. It's like, oh God, it's a tank. Mm-hmm. just this thing like busts like the Kool-Aid dude out of the front of this thing. And it's like, oh God, there's a tank. Okay.
And then Tej's reaction is great.
Yeah, like, they got a tank, man.
Yep.
Just like,
do we have a plan B? It's like, dude, we're going to need like a plan C through Z to deal with this.
And like, boy, if you thought they destroyed a ton of cars in Five's end scene, this thing just tin cans up. I was looking at some of the trivia in the movie. They smushed 240 cars for real on this stretch of highway with a tank for this movie. And boy, does it show.
Yeah. So we talked in 5 about the whole trying to do more practical things.
Yes.
This was another sequence where they wanted it to be CG, and Justin Lin said no. He was like, let's post-production it up a little bit with CG, but I want a tank on that road running cars over. And
genuinely shooting at stuff and blowing stuff up. Like, most movies, you see a tank in this, and it just kind of like runs over some stuff and doesn't really shoot. This thing's just shooting like crazy and blowing everything up, and that was dope.
Yep. It's probably like maybe my second or third favorite sequence, because the family roll up and they're on 2 motorbikes and 3 classic cars against a
on the
tank.
Other side of the road.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
it's a great sequence, and then you get Roman almost getting smushed, doing the whole like
lassoing the tank.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
And I really liked that the eventual solution was, well, we're going to take Roman's car and we're going to push it off of the bridge in between like the 2 sides of the bridge, and it's going to do something. And I feel like in previous movies, they would just bump to this car a little bit and it would have flown off perfectly, but he's like fighting with that thing for quite a while, and it does not go super well. And it does the whole Tony Hawk's like almost leaned over to the side thing where it's just like grind, and it's like, is it gonna go? Yeah,
is it gonna go?
It's so good. And
do we want to talk about my biggest annoyance in this movie, which is this shot?
Sure, go ahead.
This is the shot that I hate in this movie.
The jumping shot?
Yes.
So it's a cool idea, and I think about half of it is a good shot. And watching it the first time, it's one of those oh poops moments where it's just like, what is he doing? Why is he jumping? And like, it's such a cool idea, and I think it largely gets there. And I think from a story perspective, it pays off later where he's like, I didn't know there was going to be a car there. But it doesn't 100% pay off until he lands on the other car, and you're like, oh, I see. Okay, he jumped over the gap to catch. Okay, now I see.
Yeah, I like this movie. This series goes in some super like weird places. Like obviously breaking the laws of physics. Go back and watch the meat slab fight from 5 as a good example of that.
Yeah,
this is the moment where it just bothered me a little bit.
It's a little too ridiculous.
A little bit, yeah. They haven't escalated just enough to that point yet, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, it felt like this was let's just do this and see how people respond, and then if they're okay with it...
Is this too crazy?
We're just going to keep on dipping in that pool. Well, yeah, like that, I mean, that's a decent little sequence, a good shot. Like, it bothers me a little because obviously physics and stuff. The thing that bothers me the most is Dom doesn't sell, to use the wrestling terminology. He doesn't sell the impact. He is immediately, after jumping over a 4-lane highway, catching somebody and then landing back first into the windshield of a car with somebody else on his chest. He literally rolls off the car, stands up and is like, I'm fine. I know I got shot earlier as well, so that
Are you okay,
Letty?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like, sell it a little bit. Hold your arm, hold your back, be like, ooh, wincy, but you can't do that because The Rock's on set at the same time and neither of you guys can look weak. We'll get into that in the next movie.
That's right.
But yeah, from there it leads to very quick fast forward here. Shaw is captured. Shaw smiles because they're about to do the paperwork, and he's also got another plan.
Planned it all. Yes.
Which is the reach out and break you moment.
Yeah, this whole scene I thought was really good because it showed that you can't celebrate with this dude because you think that you might have thought you've won, but he's still gonna win in the end because he's like, no man, you're gonna let me free because I've got all this stuff and I'm totally gonna kill your wife and kid and Elena. It's like, oh man, that's terrible. And then like the very next thing they resolve it and everything's he's just. I like that.
He's like,
The Rock,
he walks out. Like his deal is, I walk out with the chip,
right?
Or
and
this
you don't
person,
follow me.
or these people die.
Right. And I like that The Rock continues to get pulled into the family little by little, because before he would have been like, no, I'm not risking this many people for this chip just because of 2 or 3 people. Like, that's not going to happen. And he's like, no, man, give him the chip. Let him go. Like, I'm not letting these people die.
I also love the fact, though, that he completely is open and honest with Dom. He's like, just so you know, Dom, if you let him walk out that door, because this is your decision, if you let him walk out that door with that chip, pardon's gone. Everything, gone. That's it.
Is it worth it? Yeah. And then the twist comes, which genuinely did not come seeing, that I really like that Shaw was like, you coming, babe? And
the camera is like centered on Michelle Rodriguez.
The 2 women are in frame, and the focus switches from Rodriguez to Gina C. And she's like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh, she's a mole. Like, genuinely did not see that coming.
Yeah, and Braga even said he's got eyes on you. Like, he literally said there was a mole and nobody paid attention to it.
Yep.
It's a great moment. And, like, the fact that they walk out and then obviously Shaw is, like, driving down the runway with his little hubbies. And he's like, yeah, make the call. Kill her. I don't need her now. It's fine.
Yep.
And Tej does his hacker stuff and he's just like, I've blocked everything on all frequencies. Let's go get him.
And then
Cue the longest, by the way, this is a frequent joke for this movie. Cue the longest runway ever.
Yeah, and it's like, it's clearly the action scene that this movie was working towards. And one of my larger problems with this movie, in that it happens at night, and some of what happens is not the clearest.
It's a little harder to see some of the stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and probably not worth going beat by beat for this, because, boy, we're recording super long. Number 1, I like that in Roman's phone, Hobbs is labeled Samoan Thor.
There was 3 Avengers references in this, by the way. First time Roman calls him Hulk. Second time the CCTV guy calls him Captain America, and in his phone he's called Samoan Thor. That's
right. I like that they somehow found someone that's bigger than Pain and Gain Rock in this movie. That dude is that's a huge dude. And he doesn't have to do much other than being huge, which
Klaus
is good.
Who's on Team Muscle, and if he doesn't shut his mouth, Michelle Rodriguez is going to make him Team Word I'm not going to say on this podcast.
Yeah. There's just a whole bunch of action in this scene. I wrote Gal Gadot, no. Because of course she has to die, because they're talking about after this we're finally gonna go to Tokyo. And it's like, did you
see
killed
the
yourself.
Death coming?
I feel like it was going to happen at some point in this movie, but because I didn't think that they were gonna write her, like, backfill her into Tokyo Drift. Because obviously, throughout these movies, throughout the last couple, we've been getting closer and closer to Tokyo Drift, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I wasn't sure how they were going to resolve. Han has to go to Tokyo by himself.
And he has to go broken, because in Tokyo Drift, he is a depressed individual. He happy facade, but very clearly in that he is not a happy individual. And she goes out saving his life.
Yep. And which is a pretty great shot. I also wrote, Han fully yeets a dude into a jet engine.
Yes, he fully yeets that guy so hard.
It's just a really great revenge, where it's like, I'm not just going to kill you, I'm all the way going to kill you.
And also complete my goal of stopping this jet from taking off.
Yeah. And a lot of really cool scenes of, like, the grappling hook and trying to pull this plane down, and a lot of butts of cars coming in the air.
Yeah, the fights in the actual plane itself as well, with the old Doomsday Device tag team wrestling maneuver performed by Vin Diesel and The Rock on the Granite Man, which is hilarious. Another Gina Carano fist fight. Wrong side. B-word.
Yes. What else happens? It all culminates in the shot that I think they're expecting.
Well, firstly, let's deal with Shaw.
Yes.
So the plane starts to go down. So everybody's jumping out this like emergency exit.
Yep.
Onto
And the back of it is open.
Yeah. And Vin Diesel stops and goes back to A, get Shaw, but also B, get the chip.
That's right.
And we get the old fight between them in the car while trying to protect the chip. And then Vin Diesel just releases the handbrake, grabs the chip, and dives out the back of this Jeep while it heads towards like the rear gate.
Yep.
Crashes into the gate, and Shaw goes flying through the windshield and out the back of this plane.
Yep. A really good shot of like, well, all right, that's that guy, I guess.
Yep. And then the plane crashes.
Yes. And in this like Dom killing fiery wreck. And I like that everyone is sort of like, wait, where's Dom? Wait, where's Gal Gadot? And
no, the Gal Gadot realization doesn't even come until afterwards, because like as the plane's coming down, everybody's like, oh, Dom's still in there, and then the plane explodes in this huge fireball, and then the car comes flying out the top of it just like the tank did.
Yeah, like I feel like that's the shot that the movie's expecting to be like, hell yeah, man, this is the shot. And it's like, that one's really cool, but I like the tank coming out of the convoy way better.
Yeah, and that's why I think that shot is why they shot this at night, because that explosion looks sick as hell.
It does look really cool, yeah.
But yeah, big crash, big fire. Dom Terminator 2 walks his way through the fire, and it's like, yay, everybody's back together. Wait, why does Han look so sad? Wait, where's Giselle?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Just a super bummer. And I didn't catch this reference, and I feel like I probably should have, since we've been watching all these movies, that when Hobbs asks what they would like, because it's like, oh, this machine's worth like $1 billion, name your price. And when Dom says 1327, I was just like, I don't know what that is. And then it, of course, shows their house, the old busted down family house. And I was like, all right, Fast and Furious, you got me. 1327. Yep, it's the only place the family could go.
I'm guessing you missed he reads the brochure reference as well. At the auction house, Hobbs is talking about the Beamers, and Tesh says, well, I'm calling me impressed. He reads the brochure, which is exactly what Cowboy Sean said to the jock dude at the start of Tokyo Drift. Thank you very much for stealing the best lines.
Man, I didn't catch that, no.
But yes, 1327 or whatever it is, that's the house number.
Yep. And just a really great scene to wrap up the non-stinger ending of this movie, of just like, here's the family, not entirely whole and not entirely untouched by what happened, but everybody's here and almost everybody made it, and things are going okay.
Yeah.
And Han is very much like, guys, I think I gotta go.
Yeah. I do love the fact that the improvised line was kept in this, which is when Tej and Roman are cooking and The Rock starts walking up, Roman goes, uh-oh, Mia, better hide that baby oil. And then The Rock just, without breaking stride, just goes, oh, better hide that big-ass forehead. And then Tej spits out this beer that he's drinking. Totally improvised those two lines.
That's great.
And
that's really good.
Kept in the movie, so that laugh and that beer spit is 100% like unintended. We're just losing it right now at this moment.
I like it.
Again, big forehead joke, which is great. But yeah, you get the family speech.
You get the family speech, which I thought is good. You get Roman doing grace because he took the first bite. I like that there's some closure between Elena and Letty. Like it's very much Elena stepping aside, saying like, "Look, this is your family. I've got my family," and she holds up her badge. It's sort of like, this is what I've got to go do. Like this is where I belong. You
get the Brian and Letty closure as well, which is where he's like, "Look, I sent you in there. It's my fault. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." And she's like, "Dude, nobody could have I don't know who I am, but I could have told you that nobody makes me do something I didn't want to do."
That was a good line.
Fun fact, first time those two have spoken to each other in the 6 movies. The very first time those two characters have spoken to each other.
Maybe that's why I thought the scene was so weird. It was like, what is weird about this scene? Yeah, okay.
They literally didn't interact in the first one at all.
Very much the Fifth Element thing, where it's like, these two people don't talk at all during the whole movie. Yeah, and I think it leaves off on a fairly positive note. excuse me, getting choked up.
And then Stinger.
Until we see the Stinger, and I was just like, wait, why is this? Oh, it's Tokyo Drift. Yeah, right. We're going through the Shibuya crossing. Yeah, that's still a crazy and a cool scene. Right, Han dies. Wait, what's this other car? Wait, who's driving this other car? It's Jason effing Statham killed Han? And it's just like, in Tokyo? Jason Statham, what are you doing with Letty's necklace? Why are you calling Dom? What is happening here? And then it just like, he says like, you don't know me, but you will.
About to.
Yeah, but you're about to. And then credits. And I was like, why? Number one, I love Jason Statham.
Yep.
And number two, I'm super pumped to see Jason Statham be the bad guy.
Well, let me tell you, you remember I said how like different characters have got like, I've got a scale of introductions.
Yeah,
like The Rock is like number 3, or he's number 2, like Shaw's intro sequence in this, which is basically a giant chase scene, is my number 2.
Yep.
Jason Statham's introduction in the next movie is my number 1. And it starts the movie.
Yes.
So
I love Jason
Get
Statham
ready
so
for
much.
that stuff.
Yeah. But that's Fast and Furious 6 or Furious 6 or ampersand, whatever we're going to call it. Furious 6. That is the end of it. Man, this is another one that I really liked. Probably another one that's just a touch too long. I think we were watching the extended one, but I sort of have a hard time telling
the difference.
Yeah, so we might have had a couple extra minutes here and there, but I don't think it's as solid the entire way through as 5 is.
Yeah.
But it's probably my second favorite at this point.
There is a reason why on most people's lists it goes 5, 6, and then take your pick from there.
Yeah.
I mean, the villain's the best villain in the movie, I think.
He's so good.
Like, so far, at least, this is the best the villain has ever been.
Letty's coming back made sense. They sort of wrote it well in probably the best way they could without like sort of hand waving it and being like, no, that never, her get dying, that never happened. She's back. Hey.
Yep.
Yeah, I really, this was a really, really solid one. I feel like we've hit the majority of the high points throughout the entire time. I think my only criticism is that 5 was an action heist movie, and I think 6 is more of a Hollywood popcorn action heist movie. And I don't think that's inherently bad, but I think it's losing a little bit of the charm that some of the earlier ones in 5 had. But I expect that to become, I expect these movies to kind of continue to move that way as opposed to scaling things down as things go on.
Yeah, so let's just get this out of the way. Next one is Furious 7, or whatever.
Yeah.
Fast, whatever. 7.
Yeah.
We're not up to Fate of the Furious
The Fate
yet.
of the Furious.
Yeah, we're up to 7. So,
Yep.
you mentioned action heist, action kind of movie here. The next movie is a revenge movie.
Ooh, exciting.
Because you have a certain Jason Statham trying to get revenge for his brother. And you have, by the way, he is a Shaw. Just in case you didn't know.
That's what I figured because of the Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Starring Jason Statham.
And I know there's 2 people on the cover. I know Hobbs. That's probably Shaw.
Yeah. So it's him getting revenge on the crew.
Aha.
And it's the crew getting revenge for Han.
I'm digging it.
So
All
it's
right.
a 2-way revenge story.
Like it. 2-way revenge street. Digging it. Yeah. Yeah, I liked this one a lot. I'm not sure I liked all of the stuff in the big set piece at the end, but a lot of that is like, yeah, we're doing a lot of racing and fighting at night, which is kind of hard to shoot and edit.
It feels like it harkens back to the first one.
Yeah.
Or to the fourth one. Even worse, where it's like, it's so dark, and yeah, you're doing a lot of this stuff physically, but I still can't tell. Right.
Runway would probably be a little bit more well lit, but that's okay. I can suspend disbelief a little bit. But yeah, 6 was really good. I think it's still, we'll do a ranking episode after we're done with the 15 other movies that are in the franchise. But yeah, so far it's in my number 2. It's got to be an exceptional movie to beat 5, and I don't see it happening personally for me, and everybody's list seems to be like 5 is number 1 by a mile, and then everything else. So I'd be surprised if anything beat it for me. But yeah, 6 was good. 6 was we now have to wait because of how we record these, I now have to wait like another week to watch Furious 7, and I'm a little upset about it, but that's how we're doing the show, and we've set this. This is how our schedule is going. But I am chomping at the bit to watch the next one.
Because my favorite thing is you can't even get away with watching it beforehand, because the whole thing with the next, I would be able to tell if you watched it and then pretended you hadn't watched it for your predictions.
You're like, oh well, what am I thinking is gonna happen? And it'll be like, no man, you watched it, you cheater. Yeah, but yes, wasn't expecting to be this excited to watch the next movie in the franchise, but I totally am, and I totally get why people love these movies, and I really want to see Furious 7. but I can't, and I have to wait. Grumble, grumble, grumble.
Yeah. We'll go into the politics of 7, because 7's when things get real awkward behind the scenes.
Right.
We'll get into the ramifications of 7, because 7 is also when things get real behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So prepare yourself in advance for that. Prepare for floods and floods of tears, because
That's right.
I am not kidding you when I say I will cry every time I watch this movie. I'm starting to right now, just thinking about this movie.
Right, yeah.
But 7, we'll get into some of the ins and outs of that when we get there. But for now, let's just hashtag justice for Han our way out of here.
That's right. Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.